Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're stepping into the spiritual world of Malaysia's Chinese communities to meet the unseen guardians of the home. It's this really powerful story about what happens when ancient beliefs travel to a new land and adapt in some pretty surprising ways. So, if you ever walk through a Malaysian Chinese neighborhood, you'll see these small, intricate shrines almost everywhere. Now, at first glance, they might all look pretty similar, but they actually open a door to two totally different spiritual worlds, and each one tells a unique story about what it means to belong. Okay, so let's meet our two guardians. Their domains are very clearly divided. Inside the home, you have Dijugong, who we can think of as the immigrant god. Then, guarding the world outside, is Datukgong, the local spirit. And you know, this placement, inside versus outside, that's the first and biggest clue to their very different identities. To really get this, we have to start with exactly where they live. Because for these spirits, the boundary between inside and outside, between the home and the land, well, it's everything. Step inside a traditional home, and you'll probably find this, a small red plaque right there on the floor, usually tucked under the main family altar. This humble but very powerful spot belongs to Dijugong, whose name just means Earth Lord. So let's focus on this Earth Lord first. His story is all about being an immigrant god, one who crossed an ocean and was pretty much forever changed by that journey. So, a god of the earth. You'd think he'd be from the local earth, right? Well, here's the twist. Dijugong isn't from Malaysia at all. He's an immigrant who traveled with the Chinese communities all the way from their ancestral homeland, and you can actually see his transformation written right there on his plaque. See, in China, the inscription describes him as the god of the front and back land, so just the space right around the house. But in the Malaysian version, the characters change to Tung Fan, which means Chinese and local. And this is a huge deal. Tung represents the Chinese homeland. Fan represents the new local land of the Malaya archipelago. So when he arrived, the jurisdiction, you could say, literally expanded. He wasn't just a protector of Chinese land anymore. He became a guardian of this new shared space. And this respect wasn't just some symbolic thing. It had a very real impact on worship. You see, because the local fan spirits of the Malay world were often understood to be Muslim, this powerful custom developed. You never, ever offer pork to Dijugong. It's a sign of respect for his new spiritual neighbors. But get this, the offerings themselves tell us something else really interesting. Many worshippers see Dijugong not as some ancient, powerful figure, but as a child or even a group of 5 children. So what did they bring him? Things kids love. Candies, jellies, and cakes. And that whole idea, of him being more than one being, it's even reflected in the rituals. While most gods might get 1 or 3 incense sticks, on special days, Dijugong gets 5, 1 for each of the 5 children. He's a collective, youthful spirit. Okay, so that's the god who came from far away and adapted. Now, let's step outside into the yard, because here we meet a completely different kind of guardian, one who was already here. This is a story of adoption, not adaptation. This is Datukgong. And right away, his name tells us he's not an immigrant. Datuk is a Malay honorific. It's kind of like saying sir or chieftain. He actually represents a whole class of powerful local spirits that the Chinese community respectfully adopted as their own protectors. And Datukgong is an incredibly broad term. I mean, it can be the spirit of a termite mound or a great old tree. It could be a venerated Muslim holy man, a pioneering Chinese ancestor who became a local legend, or even a powerful animal spirit like a tiger or a crocodile. And because of this diversity, the worship gets incredibly personal and, honestly, fascinating. For example, some communities believe their local Datuk is a crocodile spirit. So what do they offer him? Not your typical temple food, but black goat curry, a specific tribute for a very specific guardian. This really highlights a huge difference. Think of a major deity like the sea goddess Mazu. She's the same goddess whether you're in Taiwan or Malaysia. But there isn't just one Datukgong. There are thousands. Each one is tied to a specific spot.
The datuk your neighbor worships is literally not the same one you do. People treat him like a respected local elder, so the offerings reflect what he might have enjoyed in life. Local tobacco, cigarettes, strong coffee. And just like with zizugong, pork is almost always avoided, out of respect for his local and often Muslim identity. So let's bring these two stories together. We've got the immigrant god inside the house and the native spirit outside. What does this dual guardianship really tell us about how belief itself works when people are trying to build a new home? And here it is, side by side. One came from China and transformed, the other was from the Malay archipelago and was adopted. One lives inside, the other outside. One gets sweets like a child, the other gets tobacco like an elder. They represent two different but equally beautiful strategies for making a home in a new world. You know, what this really shows us is that faith isn't static. It's not something frozen in time, something you can just carry in a suitcase. No, it's a living, breathing story that adapts, absorbs, and evolves as people move across the world and build new homes in new lands. Which leaves us with one last thought to ponder. Dizu Gong shows a god changing to fit a new home. Datu Gong shows a new home changing a community's faith. So which is more powerful in the end? The faith you bring with you, or the spirit of the place where you arrive?